Hello everyone, I'm Sharpedo43 once again bringing you all week 7 of the GLA, the final week of the regular season. My opponent for this final match is going to be Johnson. He's from the NCL League, which stands for Nimbasa City League, and thankfully this logo actually says what it stands for. That way I can actually tell. Let me tell you that this logo is pretty spiffy looking, not gonna lie. It's actually probably one of my favorite logos at this point, honestly, right next to the LCC logo. I like the LCC logo because the LCC logo looks more professional, but I like the Nimbasa City logo just because of how stylistic it looks, honestly. But yeah, all digression aside, yeah, so Johnson, this guy's draft is once again scary, as always. The interesting thing about this draft in particular, though, is that as scary as it is, it's more or less familiar, just because this draft that Johnson has consists of a Mega Blastoise, which I dealt with in week 1, and it also has a Mew, which I dealt with in week 3, honestly. As for all the other months, I mean, I think those are all like new to me, unless I forgot or something, but I probably didn't even see it in the match, but maybe I did see it in the rosters of somebody else, but I don't know. But for me, the ones that stood out to me the most are the Mew and the Mega Blastoise. But that doesn't mean that his team is not like scary and I can possibly, like, not lose this, and whatnot, because he after all still has Tornadus T, which is scary, Zeraora, which is scary. Both Zeraora and Tornadus T are very scary because they both force my Sharpedo to Mega Evolve or get +1 speed then Mega Evolve, honestly. Because, I mean, oh, and there's also Superior too. In fact, those 3 months are the ones that actually prevent Sharpedo from just attacking by Mega Evolving and not having to depend on the +1 speed, basically. Everything else, I feel like maybe Sharpedo can just outspeed it, but I mean, yeah, I have to get past Superior, Tornadus, Zeraora, and all that good stuff. However, thankfully for me, he did not bring the Superior, so I don't have to worry about a potential, like, Contrary set, honestly. That's Scarved, because Scarved Contrary Leaf Storming was something that I was actually particularly worried about. That's kind of why I brought Amoonguss. Otherwise, I probably would have brought Skarmory, I don't know. Because I did want to set up hazards, but unfortunately, as you can see in this team that I have right now, I am not able to set up any sort of hazards, honestly. Well, he on the other hand does, honestly. He has the Steelix, which can set up rocks. Mew can also set up rocks too if he doesn't want to depend on Steelix for the rocks, or he can have both rockers on it. I don't know. The only thing I could bring on my end is dual screens Grimmsnarl again, because yeah, a lot of this team that he has hits really powerful depending on the sets he brings, because Mew can be offensive and powerful, so can Steelix. Mega Blastoise, Tornadus T, and Zeraora are no-brainers. They're always going to be offensive. And Drapion can be bulky offensive or something. So, like, all these mons can hit really hard. So, obviously, I kind of wanted to bring dual screen so that way I can at least take hits better as I switch around and whatnot. And if he gets his rocks up, again, just to take hits well so that while I get chipped down, mons like my Loda can still recover. Or at least get a hit off in before, taking more damage or something. Before eventually going down, So, yeah. So that's all I gotta say about that. So, all the rest of my team is pretty self-explanatory. Sharpedo is to basically either punch holes or sweep late game. Zygarde probably punch holes. Although this Zygarde this time around is actually not Choice Band this time. It's actually Scarf this time because I wanted something to be able to pressure Zeraora and Tornadus T so that it doesn't look like I got nothing to outspeed and it's only going to come down to Sharpedo getting +1 every time. Because who knows, maybe this Tornadus T or Zeraora could carry Substitute, every time they predict Sharpedo to go for Protect, honestly. That's kind of why I slapped Scarf on the Zygarde. It's just so that, they don't think that Sharpedo is the only way I can outspeed both of these mons. I have Scarf Zygarde to, kind of do the work, honestly. And Electros is also there just to put Zeraora and Tornadus at base, so they don't just be going around thinking they can just simply attack freely and just, take advantage of my, I guess, inability to, like, take hits very well, kind of. I feel anyway, because this team that he has it's full of good coverage, honestly. The Tornadus can just Hurricane my Amoonguss. It can Heat Wave the Skarmory, which I thankfully didn't bring. He could have Hidden Power Ice for Zygarde, honestly. I think Hurricane also just hits Sharpedo really hard to the point where it can possibly take it out, depending on the set, honestly. It has knockoff to knock off the AV from Electros, and then eventually hit me with heat waves, and it'll hit really hard because Tornadus T does hit hard. Same thing can be said for Zero Aura. It can knock off Electros. It can knock off literally anything, and then just Plasma Fist a good chunk of my team. It has Outrage for Zygarde. Like, a lot of his team just has coverage, honestly, and that's why I'm afraid of his team, despite me bringing at least fair enough bulk, honestly. If anything, I feel like I'm lacking in the offensive power, honestly. The only 2 offensive presences that I have here, or actually 3, are Mega Sharpedo, Zygarde, and Electros. Everything else is kind of just meant to play a more passive role, honestly, if anything. But yeah, we're gonna see what happens in this match, honestly. Like I said before, we're gonna try to win this match because even though we're not in playoffs anymore, or like we're not gonna make the playoffs, I still want to win this match just to, you know, kind of go out with a bang if possible. If I lose, then it's whatever either way. Like, this is showdown still at the end of the day, so it's like it's not gonna matter too much, but I would preferably like to win, honestly, this match. But we're gonna see anyway. His team is kind of scary, and I personally wasn't really confident in building for this guy. Like, I wasn't feeling confident in my preparations for this guy because a lot of his stuff just, again, it just has answers to my team, honestly. Usually when teams have answers to my team, I usually don't feel very confident in, you know, being able to handle it, honestly. Even if there's a chance that I could actually get around it, honestly. I would just have to try really hard to, you know, outplay my opponent, which is honestly the scariest thing about the match. But anyways, all extended talk aside, let's get into the match. So I'm going to lead off with Electros. He's actually going to lead off with Zero Aura. Now here I was thinking, okay, this is a fine lead, but the problem is that this thing could have knockoff and just go for knockoff right out of the gate, so that Electros doesn't have any more ways of taking special hits from Tornadus T or even the Blastoise. So instead of, I can't, I only have Volt Switch, I don't have U-turn on this, so I'm gonna have to like basically hard switch, and I do believe I go into Amoonguss here because Amoonguss doesn't really care too much about the knockoff. I can just switch out for recovery anyway. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna switch it in. He is gonna go for the safe Plasma Fist, just not trying to predict anything, which is fine, honestly. This gives me time to think of what I can do with the Zero Aura. I think what I go for right out of the gate here is just for the Spore, just to put something to sleep, honestly. Kind of put his team on pressure for a bit. And he is going to decide to go into this Drapion, which is fine with me, because now this thing is asleep. This thing, I'm just afraid of it being able to set up Toxic Spikes, and then maybe set up Swords Dances and hit me with Poison Jabs. If it has Ice Fang, it'll hit me with my Zygarde with Ice Fang, and if it's at +2, it'll probably one-hit KO or something, which I don't want, obviously. So putting that Drapion to sleep is actually really good. It prevents setup, and it prevents Toxic Spikes, which I could get rid of with Amoonguss, and I'm immune to it with Electros, but again, mons like my Milotic, Zygarde, and Sharpedo are not going to appreciate it very well, honestly. So yeah, here he's going to switch into Tornadus now. I don't know if I switched out myself. Yeah, I did. I went into Electros here. This was like a double switch of sorts. Like, he switched out and I switched out as well. We both switched out at the same time. He got Tornadus T, I got Electros. So here, I think I just go for the Volt Switch just to see what he wants to go for, honestly. He does hard switch back into Zero Aura, which is fine with me, honestly. I'm just going to... I think here I'm going to hard switch back into Amoonguss because, again, I'm just fearing the knockoff. I don't want Zero Aura to knock off my Rocky Helmet, my Assault Vest, because I need that for Tornadus T. I think my my Electros is going to be a significant check to the Tornadus T, because it's like the one thing that can take both of its stab moves. It's actually it's not both of its stab moves. It takes the Hurricanes very well, and it can take Heat Waves relatively well. And knockoff, because it won't be invested in physical attack, won't do too much damage. Same could be said for U-turn. So yeah, here I believe I just go for Sludge Bombs. Hopefully get the poison as always. Like, I'm always going to be trying to get the poison with the Sludge Bomb here. So he's going to reveal Bulk Up here as I switch in the Amoonguss here. And that's scary, because now this thing is at +2, and I don't know what this thing could have, honestly. I just go for Sludge Bomb here, and I do get the poison, which is really good. But like, unfortunately, yeah, he has the Blaze Kick, unfortunately. So I didn't see that coming, honestly. I knew this thing could get Blaze Kick because I actually did look up the sets that Zero Aura can have, and I knew this thing could have Blaze Kick, but I was just kind of hoping he didn't bring it, honestly. But we all know how savvy these Showdown Draft League players can be. Sometimes they can actually, you know, have a lot of tricks up their sleeve, and I'm not even aware of it since I'm not as highly competitive myself, honestly. But yeah, there you have it. Blaze Kick to the face. I just lose Amoonguss right out of the gate. Well, not out of the gate, but, you know, just straight up, basically, in this matchup. So now here I'm just going to bring out Zygarde, and I'm actually, like I said before, I'm scarfed on this, so I'm hoping he kind of doesn't see it coming and I can just take out the Zero Aura right now. But chances are, well, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of hoping he just thinks that I'm going to go for E-Speed and he stays in, trying to go for, I don't know, like Outrage or something. Unless he doesn't have it, which will probably justify this switching into Mew, basically. But yeah, I was hoping he'd stay in, so that's why I went for the 1,000 arrows right here. And as always, these Mews, they just take it like nothing. This is basically the new Gliscor right here that takes these 1,000 arrows. But then again, my Zygarde is not banded this time. It is actually Scarf, so I guess it makes sense that it doesn't do as much damage as I would like, honestly. Had it been banded, I probably could have been a 2-hit KO had I gone for Outrage instead. But obviously, the reason I'm not going for Outrage is because right now 1,000 arrows puts in a lot of work, honestly. It hits everything on his team really, really hard. Whereas Outrage is resisted by Steelix, and if he sees Outrage come even once, he can just immediately go into Steelix. And I don't want to give him that free switch in, obviously. If he switches something in, he's going to take damage on it, obviously. So yeah. Here I'm going to switch out into Electros again, because I think the reason why was because I was fearing like maybe the Will-O-Wisp or something, or a Toxic. But he's actually just going to go for a Will-O-Wisp, which is fine with me, since this Electros is actually not physically invested. So that way I can just now go for the Volt Switch here. I think I was considering going for Knockoff, so I'm kind of hoping that he doesn't actually, you know, see that coming, obviously. But I'm going to go for the Volt Switch right now. Actually, never mind, I'm a liar. I actually went for Knockoff. I had a trouble remembering whether I should actually go for Knockoff here, honestly, or Volt Switch. I eventually went for Knockoff, not Volt Switch. I'm a liar, I tells you. But yeah, here this thing is going to take a lot of poison, obviously. I'm just going to switch into Zygarde, hoping he does not have the Outrage. Here I was just banking on him not having the Outrage, so that's why I kind of just went for the hard switch into Zygarde. Because I didn't want him to do more damage to my Electros with literally any other move, whether it be Blaze Kick or Plasma Fist. He thankfully ends up going for the Plasma Fist, which I was hoping he'd be able to go down to the poison afterwards, but he doesn't. So as a result, he just switches back into Mew so that he can still do stuff with Zero Aura. I'm guessing he's preserving it for Death Fodder as well, honestly. But nonetheless, I'm just going to hard switch back into my Milotic, because what I want to do with this Mew is just Toxic it, honestly, so that it can stop recovering, because seeing the Will-O-Wisp and the Roost just tells me that this is definitely a bulky Mew, honestly. That's meant to just cripple me. So yeah, he does go for the Will-O-Wisp on my Milotic, which kind of tells me that he probably doesn't have Toxic on any of his mons. So I'm just going to go for Toxic myself on this Mew, and the Synchronize will thankfully now no longer work, which is actually really, really wonderful. So here, I think I try to predict him to switch out, and I tried going for Toxic again. He's actually going to reveal to me the Aura Sphere, which is actually good to know, because that means I know better not to send in Sharpedo just like that until I know what the set of this Mew is, honestly. So I'm going to go for Scald here just to get some damage here. I guess I didn't predict the Toxic yet. I think I went for it here and then I went for Toxic, thinking, you know what, he'll probably want to switch in the Blastoise so that I burn the Blastoise and not put it on a timer like I did with this Mew, basically. So here he's going to go for Roost, and I just went for the Toxic, obviously. It doesn't do anything, obviously, because this thing is already Toxic, obviously. So here I'm just going to, I think, go for Scald this time. I was hoping he wouldn't go back into the Mega Blastoise. Thankfully he didn't. He just went into Zero Aura. Like I said before, it was probably for fodder, and here it is. This is the moment for that. So here now he's gonna bring out the, I think, the Tornadus. Yeah, he does bring out the Tornadus here, and he does reveal the Nasty Plot, which I don't know if I knew or if I just forgot that this thing could get any sort of setup, honestly, but I did not see the Nasty Plot coming here. I thought he would probably try to hit me with a Knockoff or even a Hurricane if he had that. But yeah, so I just go for Recover like a fool because I did not see the setup coming from this Tornadus. But it's good to know that it's not Scarf, so that means I can easily protect with Sharpedo, assuming this doesn't have like Substitute as well, honestly, because that would be bad for me, obviously. So yeah, here he's gonna go for Air Slash. Thankfully that was not Hurricane, and if it was Hurricane I would have definitely hoped for a miss, but thankfully it's just Air Slash, which I take very, very well, honestly, despite the crit, which was unnecessary. Thankfully I don't flinch as well, so I do get some damage with the Ice Beam here, although I don't want to lose this Milotic yet because I feel like this could be useful for the Blastoise and the Steelix. Maybe even the Drapion if the Drapion stays asleep too, honestly, so I don't want to lose this Milotic just yet, so I decided to hard switch into Grimmsnarl right here, hoping I can take an Air Slash, which I do. Now here, I was debating on whether or not I should actually go for Thunder Wave or Light Screen so I can take these Air Slashes better, but unfortunately, I was kind of scared of this Tornadus possibly sweeping because he had already got the +2. So I decided to just go for Thunder Wave right here. But he saw this coming and just went straight into Steelix, so that's obviously really bad for me. Now the thing with this Steelix that I'm actually particularly afraid of is that it has Curse, because I think Steelixes do get Curse actually. And if he starts setting up enough of those, I'm probably going to end up losing all of my mons, including Electros and Milotic, which I don't want, obviously. So obviously I'm going to have to hard switch out into Electros here. Reason for this is because I have both Flamethrower and Hidden Power Ground. Hidden Power Ground I slapped for Zero Aura and Drapion if he happened to bring them. He brought them both. I forgot to mention that, interestingly enough, this was the one time I actually predicted every single one of his mons, honestly. If he didn't bring Serperior, he definitely brought Mew, honestly. But everything else like Zero Aura, Tornadus, Drapion, Blastoise, and Steelix, I saw them all coming miles away. The only one that I kind of had my doubts was the Mew, but even then I saw like all kinds of reasons to bring it, honestly. He could have also brought Serperior, but I felt the Mew was coming more, especially if he already has enough speed to deal with Mega Sharpedo, honestly, in Zero Aura and Tornadus. So yeah, but anyways, all digression aside, I go into Electros, like I said before, on this Tornadus, and I'm gonna just try to go for the Volt Switch again, I believe. So yeah, he's gonna switch out and go into Steelix here, obviously, and it's not gonna do anything with this Volt Switch because, you know, it's immune to it. So this is when I start to reveal the Hidden Power Ground here, honestly. Now I kind of expected him to switch back into the Tornadus T, just because I kind of thought that he kind of knew that I would have Hidden Power Ground here, but I don't know. He sets up rocks here after or prior, honestly. I think I went first. I went for the Hidden Power Ground first, then he went for Stealth Rocks, then he switched out and went into Drapion. I thought he would actually switch into Tornadus because it was Hidden Power Ground that I was hoping he'd expect, not Hidden Power Fighting. Had I known this, I probably would not have gone for the Flamethrower here, because the only reason I went for Flamethrower was because it was more powerful than Hidden Power. I only carried Hidden Power Ground for the Drapion and the Zero Aura. Thankfully, this Hidden Power Ground is not in vain, though. I actually am going to be able to use it right here because for some reason, he's trying to get this Drapion to wake up. I'm guessing to get those Toxic Spikes up if he has it, or set up the Swords Dance if possible. But thankfully, he stays asleep for 2 turns, honestly. I needed him to stay asleep for at least 2 turns so I can at least finish this off with Hidden Power Ground. And so I do, and now I don't have to worry about Toxic Spikes, which is really, really good. But now he's going to bring out this Tornadus, which he goes for Heat Wave. It misses, so that only matters in the sense that he doesn't get enough damage to take out my Electros eventually, because he now has the rocks up. So that's actually good for me. This Volt Switch does do a lot of damage, which is what I was hoping for. Now here I go into Zygarde just to go for another 1,000 arrows. I wanted to go for Outrage, but the problem is that he still has Steelix, so I kind of don't want to go for Outrage and lock myself into that, just in case the Steelix happens to be like an offensive variant with Ice Fang or something. Because I think, while it may not KO Zygarde, it will definitely put it in range to the point where I may not be able to switch it in as much because of the rocks, obviously. So yeah, here he's gonna switch out into Mew, obviously, because this thing is still healthy, albeit toxic. I got a crit, thankfully, so to kind of wither it down much quicker. So now here I'm gonna hard switch into Milotic, hoping he goes for the Roost, and thankfully he does. And I'm hoping I can take at least 1 hit so that I can recover very well here, honestly. And he is actually gonna hard switch into the Blastoise, which is fine with me, honestly, because this gives me a chance to get some recovery. And now the plan with this Blastoise is hope this does not have Substitute, and that I actually land my Toxic, because I don't know what this Blastoise can do, but on top of that, it's really, really bulky and Milotic can't really do much. So I had to put it on a timer so that it's crippled enough to the point where Sharpedo can just take it out with Crunch, obviously. Or the Volt Switch from the Electros. However, you're going to see right here, unfortunately for me, this freaking Blastoise also has Shell Smash. I was like, oh my god, not this shit again. But yeah, thankfully I wasn't like in too much of a pickle, honestly. Like I thought I was, because thankfully I land a Toxic, which is really, really good. Now, I wasn't sure if at +2 it would actually be able to take a +2 Dark Pulse, basically. Like, I didn't know at +2 I would be able to take a Dark Pulse, but as you can see, I thankfully was, and I was able to recover, and it looks like I'll still be able to take another one, so I'll be able to cripple this Blastoise at least decently enough. It is scary nonetheless, though, because not only is this guy +2 in special attack, but it also in speed, so it will outspeed Mega Sharpedo too, honestly. And if he predicts a Protect attempt, he'll just go for another Shell Smash, and then he will be unstoppable. So I don't know what the hell was I saying when I said that I wasn't not looking too hot here. This is actually the scariest moment of the match here, because this thing is at +2. I recovered here, and I think he saw this coming, and he actually ended up going for the Shell Smash again. Thankfully for me, I did not go for recover again, though. I actually went for Scald because, or not here, in the next turn, obviously. Yeah, here, even at +4, I think it was. I don't know. It says ×3 here, though, but I think it's +4. Even at +4, he was still not able to take out my Lodic with dart pulls. I was like, what the hell? That's crazy. So I went for recover twice on this Blastoise, despite it having gone for 2 shell smashes, but I eventually went for the skull the time that he went for dart pulls, basically. And thankfully I didn't flinch throughout these dart pulses, because that could have been really, really bad for me. I would not have gotten the damage that I needed for this Blastoise, and the Blastoise would have been able to run house in that case, honestly. So this was scary once again. I don't know why I thought it wasn't scary. This is definitely scary. Jeez. But yeah, so Blastoise here is actually, it's getting crippled. I'm going to lose my Lodic now. Unfortunately, I don't have any switch-ins to +3 or +4 Blastoise, so obviously I have to just let my Lodic go down. And here, basically, the Mew comes in. Electros also comes in. Here, I think I try to knock off here, just to see what item he has, honestly. And I'm actually glad I went for this, because he actually turns out to have a Cobra Berry for my Sharpedo to take a crunch and then retaliate with an Aura Sphere. So yeah, I'm actually glad I got rid of that. I'm glad I didn't sack this, or didn't lose this Electros earlier, because had I lost it, I would not have been able to knock out this Cobra Berry off of this Mew, basically. So yeah, now I'm gonna go for Volt Switch since he wasn't able to take me out yet. I'm gonna go into Grimmsnarl here. Now here the plan was to set up screens, but the problem is that he hard switched in the Steelix, and I went for Foul Play because I wanted to get some more damage on the Mew before, you know, like setting up any screens. So yeah, obviously I had to switch into Zygarde here, and he switches into Tornadus, which is fine with me. I think here I got a little hasty, and I just thought maybe he'll stay in this time, so I just went for the Outrage this time. And unfortunately I got locked into the Steelix, so yeah, that's actually really bad for me. I'm now locked in the Outrage, and I just have to see what he has, honestly. Thankfully for me, he does not have Ice Fang, because that was what I was afraid of on this Steelix, that he'd have Ice Fang. Like even Toxic I'm not too scared of. It's the Ice Fang, because Ice Fang will do a lot of damage, and with these rocks up, it'll eventually just, you know, take me out, but, you know, and I didn't want that, obviously. I am confused now, but I'm gonna just switch out, and I think I go into Electros just to sack it, obviously. And I think he switches out, or either that or he just tries to go for... Oh no, he roars me and brings me back to Zygarde, but that's fine because now I can actually switch out my move to 1000 Arrows, even if he switches in the Mew. Again, the point is just to pressure his team, and so he did, because honestly he could have switched back in the Mew here, but he decided to let his Steelix go down, probably fearing that I'd go for Outrage again. But thankfully I went for 1000 Arrows and took out the Steelix, which is good because this thing was the one reason why I couldn't go for Outrages all the time. Now I can if I just so happen to switch out. But here I'm going to sack the Electros now because I don't need Electros anymore. I kind of only needed it for the Tornadus T, but it's already too weak and they even take hits from Tornadus at this point, so I just figure I'll bring it in. Not to mention, it gives me a chance to send in the Grimmsnarl and just set up a light screen so I can take these Aura Spheres well. And when I bring in Sharpedo, because what I'm going to do here is actually bring in Sharpedo and hope I can take an Aura Sphere with the light screen up, basically. But in the meantime, I am going to sack this Grimmsnarl. He actually does try to play around the light screen for a bit as I go for Foul Play here. He's going to switch around just to take the hits. I went for Thunder Wave here thinking that he was probably going to stay in, but no. This is when I realized that he was trying to play out the light screen turns, honestly. But yeah, I just have to keep going for attacks every time he switches around, honestly. If he brings back that Tornadus T, I just try to go for Thunder Wave again. So yeah, here I go for Thunder Wave again, predicting him to try to bring in the Tornadus again. But he just stays in this time and just goes for Aura Sphere, which is fine. Takes out my Grimmsnarl, but now that he's at least at half HP, well, under 50 HP, or yeah, 50% of HP, now I'm going to bring in Sharpedo. And I don't have to protect here, which would be risky because he'll go for a Roost, and then he'll have a chance to survive, and then, you know, hit me really hard for damage with the Aura Sphere. And there's a chance that he could crit me, and which will ignore the light screen. Like, the light screen is just there for good measures, basically. But he could still, at the end of the day, crit me and, you know, take out my Sharpedo. So, I decided to just go for the crunch here so that I don't have to worry about him roosting, you know. And thankfully, I was able to take it out. So, here, he's just going to send out his last mon, which is the Tornadus T. And I'm just going to Mega Evolve now since I'm at +1 speed and just take it out with the crunch. I was debating on going for Ice Fang there, actually. But the reason why I didn't go for it was because it could miss. And as you can see, Crunch did it anyway, honestly. I didn't need to go for Ice Fang. I think I only carried Ice Fang for this Tornadus T, honestly, because it would be a threat, honestly. But and I think I also brought it for Superior as well, though, now that I think about it. But yeah. But who knows? Maybe this Tornadus could have been bulky or something. I don't know. But yeah, either way, we actually do win this match. And boy, was this a freaking hard-fought match, honestly. like it. Look how many turns it took. It took 53 turns to get this match done. It was really rough. Not sure this. Well, I think it's kind of cool that this match actually ends with Sharpedo, because this is my last match for this league, honestly. Since, like I said before, we're not gonna make playoffs. I did win my match, which was what I wanted, and I won it with Mega Sharpedo, which is nice because from here on out, like I said before, after this league is completely done on my end, the only other thing that's left for me here on this channel is basically just to showcase all the Wi-Fi matches that I have for Sword and Shield. Yeah, because I don't know if you people knew this, but I was actually doing Wi-Fi matches for Sword and Shield behind the scenes, basically. Although don't get your hopes up, I didn't get too many of them because not a whole lot of people are down to do singles matches these days. They're most of the time into VGC, which is not my cup of tea, basically. So yeah, but I did get a few Wi-Fi matches, which is kind of the amount that I wanted anyways, honestly. But if I do more, it's probably just gonna be up to like 10 Wi-Fi matches at most. I don't think I'm gonna end up doing more matches than that, honestly, unless the DLC has anything to offer by the time you know, we get it, you know, and whatnot. But again, like right now as it is, I don't see myself doing too many Wi-Fi matches, and on top of that, not a whole lot of people do them either, honestly. So again, I'm just gonna showcase what I have. So yeah, but boy am I glad that this league is over for me, because now I think I can definitely relax and not have to worry about these draft leagues anymore. Because yeah, I already did what I could. I already won 2 championships this year, and I did pretty well in this league despite us not making playoffs, because at the end of the day, this was a league war, not an actual standalone league where it's everyone for themselves, basically. Now this is a league where members of every league that's involved here have to put in the work to actually win one week and win the rest of the weeks throughout the regular season. And yeah, unfortunately, I was gonna say my opponents, but no, it's my comrades. They were not very fortunate to actually be able to take the W's over the actual opposition. I was able to hold my own, but unfortunately everybody else was just kind of like, they were just getting destroyed or something like that. I don't know. Like, I mean, they were all close. Like, if you put 2 and 2 together from every week, the results of every participant in the ICPL, you can see that a lot of the matches were like, yeah, we lost the majority, but we were close to, like, you know, breaking ties. Like, we were close to having ties most of the time. So it's not like we got steamrolled or anything like that. We just always came down short, honestly. But either way, it was a good effort on everyone's part either way. And I'm also glad that at least I was able to, you know, still win this match. At the end of the day, I wouldn't have cared, but this is a cool way to end my run in draft leagues with Mega Sharpedo, because let's say theoretically I did a draft league in Sword and Shield. I'm not going to be able to use Sharpedo again, honestly, or Mega Sharpedo at least. And this is the last time I'll be able to do it, honestly. So what a good way to go, honestly. But yeah. So with all that said, thank you all for watching my run in the GLA, and also thank you Scoots85 for having me participate in this, honestly. Like, I appreciate that you actually took me into consideration when making the arrangements to join this league, honestly. Because even though I didn't say anything on the matter, like I didn't even say I wanted to join, but you still had me in consideration anyway and went up to me and asked me if I wanted to participate. Because of that, that initiative that you took, I actually was moved to participate in this despite not being necessarily keen. But nonetheless, I appreciate it. And again, this gave me a good chance to actually try out Mega Sharpedo once again, which is, you know, it's my favorite mon at this point. It's just a shame that it's not going to be in Sword and Shield. That's why I wanted to take advantage of this league right now, to be able to get Sharpedo and have it put work, which it actually did. It did much more than it did in the Essen deal. So yeah, I have to be grateful. But with all that said, once again, thank you once again for watching. Stay tuned for the Wi-Fi battles if you're looking forward to it. But for now, just take it easy and have yourselves a damn good one.